All right, let's dive into something pretty mind-blowing today. The future of humanity in the age of AI. It's a bit unnerving, but also incredibly fascinating, right? And we've got some awesome sources to dig into, interviews with experts like Nick Bostrom, thoughts from Elon Musk and others, plus some really intriguing pieces about what the future might actually look like.
Yeah, it's really striking how many experts are saying we're on the verge of AGI, like artificial general intelligence, AI that's as smart as humans.
Seriously, AGI.
Yeah. And some even think it could happen within just a few years.
Wow, few years. That seems so soon. I feel like every time AI makes a big leap, like beating a chess grandmaster or writing code, we kind of shrug it off. Like, oh, that's not really intelligent. Are we missing something here? Are we underestimating how quickly AI is actually developing?
That's a great point, and that's exactly what Nick Bostrom argues. We keep moving the goalposts. Every time AI hits a milestone, we get used to it so fast we forget how groundbreaking it was.
Right. Like, think about the first time you saw a self-driving car. It was mind-blowing. Now, it's almost normal.
Totally. That shifting goalposts phenomenon is what makes predicting AI's progress so tricky.
Okay, so we may be underestimating AI, and it could be smarter sooner than we think. So let's say AGI does arrive in the next few years. What happens then? What comes next? The movies love to show robots taking over, but is that really the most likely scenario?
Well, Bostrom actually outlines 3 potential scenarios. He talks about the dystopian, the utopian, and then a weird kind of middle ground. The dystopian one is what we see in the movie.
Right, the Terminator situation. And even Elon Musk has talked about AI being like summoning a demon. Pretty scary stuff. But there's the utopian vision too, right, where AI solves all our problems. Mm-hmm. No more diseases, no more poverty. We all get to live in this world of leisure.
Exactly. But, and here's the catch, that utopian vision brings up some really big questions about what it even means to be human if AI can do everything better than us. Like, what would our purpose be? Would we even be necessary? Would we be irrelevant?
Right. And even if we're not fighting off robot overlords, would we even have jobs? What would we do all day?
Yeah, that's something Tom Bilyeu really worries about. He says that humans are just hardwired for challenge and purpose. If AI takes all that away, solves all the problems, he thinks it could lead to like a widespread existential crisis. Like, what's left for us?
Yeah.
But Bostrom has a different take. He suggests that maybe a world where AI handles all the boring stuff, all the drudgery, and we get to focus on leisure, relationships, and, just growing as people. Maybe that wouldn't be so bad.
It's like AI could free us to be more human in a way. More time for art, relationships, philosophy, just exploring our own potential. I like that. But what about that weird middle ground that Bostrom mentions, the one that's neither utopia nor dystopia? What does that even look like?
Well, he uses the analogy of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. Like, AI could reshape humanity that profoundly. We might become something entirely different, something we can't even grasp right now.
So less a sudden robot takeover, more like a gradual, metamorphosis. Mm-hmm. We slowly merge with AI, and the result is, I don't even know, something we can't even imagine.
Exactly. He says we shouldn't get hung up on comparing, like, static states, the present versus the future. It's more about the journey, how we navigate the changes along the way. He thinks a slow, gradual shift might be better, even if what we end up with is radically different from what we are now.
Okay, no killer robots tomorrow then. Got it. But let's get down to earth a little here. What would this AI-powered future actually look like in our everyday lives? How would AI impact how we live, work, and interact with the world around us?
Think about it. How much of our day is spent on things we really don't enjoy, like chores, commuting, paperwork, all that? AI could take care of so much of that.
Yeah, like who loves doing laundry?
Exactly. Imagine like self-driving garbage trucks, right? Robot chefs making you personalized meals based on your dietary needs and preferences, AI assistants managing like your health, your entertainment, maybe even suggesting new hobbies based on, your personality, stuff you might enjoy but haven't even thought of.
So it's like AI freeing up a ton of time and energy, but wouldn't it also, eliminate tons of jobs? What about people who like drive those trucks or cook for a living? What happens to them?
That's a big concern for sure. And it's something we really need to be proactive about addressing. Some experts believe we'll need some kind of universal basic income, to make sure everyone has at least a basic safety net in a world where AI takes over a lot of those jobs.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got more free time. Our basic needs are met. But what about the even bigger picture? Could AI help us tackle some of those huge problems that we're facing as a species, like climate change, poverty, things like that?
Absolutely. I mean, AI can analyze like massive amounts of data. So it could help us understand complex systems like, the climate, and maybe even develop solutions for dealing with climate change. It could help optimize how we use resources to try and reduce poverty, inequality. AI could even really accelerate scientific research in areas like medicine. So we could see breakthroughs in, disease prevention, treatments, all kinds of things.
That's like, I mean, our brains are amazing, don't get me wrong, but they can only process so much. AI could really break through those limitations, help us solve those problems that, have just seemed impossible up until now. It's almost a little overwhelming to even think about.
It is, it really is. But it's also incredibly exciting, right? I mean, just imagine a world where we've actually solved hunger, disease, climate change. That kind of future is what AI could potentially help us build.
That's an amazing thought.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine not everyone is going to be on board with this level of, AI integration. I mean, we were talking earlier about Elon Musk and Tom Bilyeu, and they both seem to think AI could lead to some really deep divisions in society.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where those dystopian possibilities kind of come back into play, right? Some people might see AI as a threat, like a loss of human control. So they might resist it, maybe even reject any technology that uses it.
So you could have people who totally embrace AI,
Yeah.
augmenting themselves, merging with technology, and then others who reject it completely, living off-grid, trying to preserve a way of life that, maybe doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
Almost like two different species evolving.
Exactly. And then you can see how conflict could arise between those two groups. Like each side might see the other as a threat to their way of life,
Yeah, it's like that classic conflict between tradition and progress, but amplified to the extreme. And the stakes are, I mean, we're talking about the future of humanity, so incredibly high.
Yeah. Which brings us to, I think, a really crucial question: the ethics of AI. Like, if we're creating these machines that are as smart as humans, maybe even smarter, do they deserve rights? How do we make sure they're treated ethically?
Yeah, we wouldn't want to create a whole class of intelligent beings just to exploit them, mistreat them, right? It's a huge responsibility. But it's also, I mean, hard to even imagine what ethical treatment of AI would look like. If an AI is functionally identical to a human, same capacity for feeling and experience, would it be wrong to turn it off?
Right. And it gets even more complicated when you bring in that simulation hypothesis, the idea that, our reality could be a simulation created by some more advanced intelligence.
Well, hold on. Are we going full Matrix here? Are you saying we could all be living in a simulation?
It's definitely a mind-bending idea, but it is something that some, serious thinkers take seriously. And if you accept that our reality could be a simulation, then the whole question of AI ethics takes on a whole new level.
Right, because if we can create simulations, and those simulations can have, simulated beings with thoughts, feelings, what are our ethical obligations?
Yeah, it's like we become the gods of our own, little simulated universes, But if those beings are suffering, is that okay? Where's the line?
That's a really good question.
And they're questions we're only just beginning to ask, really, but they're questions we're going to have to answer as AI gets more and more sophisticated. And it all comes back to our own values, right? What do we believe is right and wrong? What kind of future do we want, both for ourselves and for the potential AI beings we might, bring into existence?
That is a lot to think about. And I think it might be a good time to just sit with all of this for a minute. Take a deep breath, process it all. When we come back, we'll explore how these AI developments might change, like the very fabric of our society, the things we value, and even how we define what it means to be human. Wow, we've really covered some ground here. I mean, from the possibility of AI becoming smarter than us to that whole mind-blowing idea of simulated realities, it really seems like AI could completely change our world in ways we're just starting to grasp.
And not just the physical world, I mean, AI could change how we think, how we relate to each other, even our understanding of what it means to be human, at the very core.
Yeah. Earlier you were talking about how AI could take over all the drudgery of daily life, which sounds great. But, some people might say that those struggles, those challenges, are actually what give our lives meaning. So what happens to that sense of purpose if AI is doing everything for us?
Well, that's a question that philosophers have been debating for centuries, right? What is the purpose of life? How do we find meaning in a world that can feel so random, so chaotic? Some people would argue that purpose comes from, striving, overcoming obstacles, contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
So in this AI-powered world, Would we need to, I don't know, find new ways to challenge ourselves, new ways to create meaning? Maybe we'd focus more on personal growth, on creativity, on exploring our inner selves.
Right, exactly. We might see a shift from, external achievements to more internal exploration. And AI could even help us do that. Imagine AI tools that could guide us through meditation, help us practice mindfulness, or even explore different philosophical ideas.
So instead of just taking care of our physical needs, AI could help guide our spiritual and intellectual development too, like having a personalized guru or life coach, but available all the time.
That's a great way to put it. And that brings up another interesting point about the future of values. Like, if AI is helping us figure out our purpose in life and guiding our development, whose values is it promoting? Is it reflecting the values of its creators, or will it actually develop its own set of values?
And how can we be sure that those values align with human well-being, with compassion, with the common good? It feels like a huge responsibility to be shaping the values of future generations.
It is a huge responsibility. We can't take it lightly. We have to be so careful about the goals we're programming into AI, the data we use to train these systems, and the feedback mechanisms that are in place. We have to make sure AI is promoting values that lead to a flourishing, sustainable future for everyone.
So it's not just about creating AI, it's about creating the future, right? And it's a future that could be absolutely incredible, a world of abundance, peace, where human potential is really unleashed. But it's also a future that demands that we're thoughtful, that we're ethical, that we really think about the kind of world we want to leave behind.
I think that's a great way to sum it up. The challenge and the opportunity are both right there in front of us. We have this incredible technology, and it could help us solve some of the biggest problems we face. But we have to use it wisely, with foresight, and with a really deep understanding of our own values.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. I'm feeling, kind of a mix of excitement and apprehension about the future, but definitely more hopeful than when we started. So thank you for taking us on this journey with you.
It's been my pleasure. And to everyone listening, if you're interested in learning more, I highly recommend checking out Nick Bostrom's work. His book, Superintelligence, is a really groundbreaking exploration of the challenges and opportunities that come with, advanced AI.
And don't stop here. Talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues about this. What do they think about the future of AI? Share your hopes, your fears, your ideas. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create. And the choices we make today, they're going to determine what that future looks like.
So let's make those choices wisely.
Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the possibilities.